Kyle Whittingham is returning as the head coach at Utah. But is that good for Utah? This is Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Big 12. The answer is yes. Yes, this is good for Utah. Thank you for making Locked On Big 12 your first listen every single day. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12. If you hit subscribe, I get to keep my job. Is Kyle Whittingham returning to Utah good for Utah? Riddle me this. Who has been there for 20 years and is on the cusp of 170 wins as a college football head coach all at one school? His name's Kyle Whittingham. In a period where the football team went 5-7 in its first year in the Big 12, the athletic director pulled his pants down and mooned the entire country in the middle of this season on arguably the biggest stage that Utah got. There needs one thing: consistency. And as guys start to enter the transfer portal, as assistant coaches were fired, as the athletic director is taking heat from all directions, for me, the one guy that I want, if I'm a Utah fan, is Kyle Whittingham representing the university as he's done. He took you to the Pac-12 conference and won. He has now gotten you to the Big 12 conference. It wasn't Mark Harlan from day one here. It was Kyle Whittingham leading the athletic department to where it is the University of Utah. Oh, Kyle Whittingham has nothing to do with the athletic department. He's just football. Buddy, how do you think the baseball lights are on? The football program pays for that. And Kyle Whittingham has spearheaded the Utah Utes. I don't care what the transfer portal situation looks like. I don't care that the assistant coach carousel is kind of funky. Your offensive coordinator fired midseason. I don't care if the athletic director is competent or incompetent. The guy that I want leading the Utah Utes to win is the same guy who has led the Utah Utes to those wins, those 167 during his time there. The same guy that won a Pac-12 championship in 2021 and 2022, taking you to the Rose Bowl. And guess what? Check my watch. That was 2 years ago. We're not talking about Kyle Whittingham, who he's lost his touch. One bad season, always lost his touch. I continue to question how the quarterback situation was handled at Utah this year. I continue to question whether it's a nutritionalist, whether it's the offseason program, strength and conditioning. There comes a point where so many guys have been injured that someone has to be held accountable for that. It's not a coincidence that year in and year out now Utah is having these kind of issues. It is very obvious there are cracks in the foundation that Kyle Whittingham did build. But who built it? Kyle Whittingham. He's a guy who has proven he can win at Utah. He's proven he can not just rebuild, but reload. When they walk into the Pac-12, go 8-5, then immediately go 5-7, and then 5-7 again. Guess who's still the head coach when they end up going 9-4, 10-3, 9-4 in consecutive seasons after? Yeah. Now look, again, I'm not. The foundation is not 100% solid. I get that, but this guy, to put out how bad is it too that the press release is just I'm back. That's all he said. That's all he has to say after 20 years at the school. I'm coming back. He is the athletic director at Utah, right? He can kind of do whatever he wants. And I do not believe we're in a position where Morgan Scalley can just step in, take the reins, and lead. It would have been even further of a disaster had Whittingham said, you know what? I've trained you well. I'm the legend. I've been here for a long time. I built this program. Now that a bunch of the kids are in the transfer portal and now that our athletic director is not proving completely there, it's my time. I'm going to hang it up. And another key aspect of this, there will be BYU fans, the fodder that will come out of the Cougars, and there will be some Utah fans that don't like this move, that are ready for a change. I mean, there are some, I think, very passionate Utah fans that in the middle of the season were calling for Kyle Whittingham to step down, give it to Morgan Scalley, which, by the way, Morgan Scalley is like just an extension of Kyle Whittingham. So you might as well just keep Whittingham or go to somebody outside of the program. So what you're going to get out of BYU fans and some Utah fans is that, this is such a bad move. Or BYU fans will say, yeah, well, keeping Kyle Whittingham just means that we're going to be able to beat you more. I think Whittingham considers his job at Utah a job unfinished. You know why? Not only is there part of him that certainly, given his BYU ties, wants to beat the crap out of the Cougars every year, obviously. He is in the war between Kalani Sitake and Kyle Whittingham, who are both pretty nice to each other. Whittingham will barely even say BYU. I mean, he hates the Cougars, given the context of where he is now as the head coach at Utah. He wants to beat BYU. That's part of this. But even more so, he wants to go to the college football playoff and believes that he can. You know how I know that? Arizona State is there right now. No disrespect to Arizona State at all. We thought that Utah was going to be there. Arizona State just proved that you can be the last ranked team in the preseason, number 16, and go to the college football playoff. Utah's saying, wait a second, we want some of that. We can do that too. If Arizona State can do it, it proves that in the Big 12, any one of these teams could step up and have a great season. Do I think there's longevity with Arizona State? For sure. Do I know there's longevity with Utah? There has been under Kyle Whittingham. My biggest request here, Kyle, don't bring back the quarterback. Time to hang it up. Cam Rising's been there too long. Let's start a new era. And you're going to have to attack the transfer portal. I don't think they're in a situation at Utah where some fancy hotshot young coach comes in and steals the show. They aren't. They already said Morgan Scalley is the coach in waiting. I don't think Morgan Scalley would get the truck unloaded with dollar bills for NIL. Kyle Whittingham's the guy that's going to have to leverage that. That's the next step. And I do believe that him staying at Utah is the right move overall for the entire athletic department. When the baseball lights turn on in the spring, congrats. Kyle Whittingham did that. This is positive for Utah. It's positive for Kyle Whittingham. I think it's positive for the longevity of that program. Check. Good. He's there to beat BYU and go to the college football playoff. I know that much. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Game Time is where I go to find tickets. Oh, shoot. Tyler Childers is on tour right now? Yeah, well, he just announced it, and I would like to buy tickets. I didn't get the lottery in time, so I'm going to go to Game Time, download the Game Time app, and get $20 off with the code LOCKEDONCollege. $20 off at Game Time today. That's it, yeah. I mean, all you got to do is just log in, create an account. You can view your seat, get the lowest price guaranteed, and use my code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. What time is it? Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. Let's see how much of a difference it makes. Isaac Wilson, transfer portal. The first tweet I saw about this, if you hit subscribe, I'm going to keep my job, from Sam Winder. A story of Isaac Wilson, he says. Fans overhyped him. He was forced to play when he was not ready. He ruined the program's season. When the going got tough, he fled. Kid is soft. I don't care if he is successful or not at his next stop. His stay at Utah will be remembered as negative. That's why I would leave. That's why I would hang it up. If that is the rhetoric from a fan base that just went 5-7, that you're going to pin it on a quarterback who I said all season long was being thrown into a situation that he was not ready for. Throw Rose in the game. Throw the Italian Stallion in the game. Throw anybody but a kid who's not ready in the game. And maybe Utah's got a fighter chance. But this take that Isaac Wilson ruined Utah's season, or when the going got tough, he fled, I can guarantee. So when I was the closest I got to playing college football was an intramural 7-on-7 team. And I remember my first pass was an interception. So my second pass was a screen pass. I'll dump it off, right? Flag football. And I'm going somewhere with this. I'm not comparing myself to Isaac Wilson. I dump it off and I was like, oh, shoot, I completed a pass. Confidence. The next play, interception. That's what Isaac Wilson's season felt like. And the problem was that after that first interception, there wasn't a conversation of, hey, shoot, we have other quarterbacks here that could probably do better than the kid who just celebrated his 18th birthday. But instead of saying, hey, let's give him some reprieve, let's give him some help, it was, I don't know, leave him out there. And when he got left out there, when the offensive line crumbled, it got better over the course of the season. When the wide receivers were only down to Dorian Singer, it didn't really get better over the course of the season. When the run game wasn't there, the entire offense fell apart. It was on the back of an 18-year-old kid. And what's even worse is the pressure of the last name Wilson. It only makes sense that he goes to BYU at this point. By the way, he's not going to transfer. Like, you know what? Fine. I'll go to Wisconsin. I don't think that's what's going to happen here. I do think he's going to go to BYU. I'll explain that here in a second. But the biggest pressure point and why I do believe that Kyle Whittingham handled this the way that he did is because he's Zach Wilson's brother. We can't get around that. His last name is Wilson. His brother played at BYU, was a BYU legend. Utah beat out BYU to land this kid, the brother of the legend. Aha! We got you, BYU. He's ours. And then, of course, when Cam Rising, who had so much offseason hype, went down, the first thing you want to do is tout this massive recruiting win that you got. Look at us, BYU. This is your legend's brother. Ha, ha, ha. He plays for us now. And when he wasn't good, because he wasn't, I watched him against Southern Utah, and he looked incompetent. Somebody, Andy Ludwig, who was fired, somebody, Kyle Whittingham, who's staying, should have looked around and been like, you know what? We have multiple other options that are probably a little bit more, who have played college football, who are more ready than what we're seeing on the field right now. But in my opinion, I think there's something in the back of the mind of a Kyle Whittingham that says, he's stubborn. Dude, Kyle Whittingham is stubborn. This is a guy, we won the recruiting battle. It looks cool that he's on our football team and out there. I would think that way if I'm the head coach, okay? If I'm the head coach and I landed the star younger brother of my rival, the first thing I want to do is get that kid in the game and watch him go out there and fly and give a big fat L to the team down the road. But when I put that kid in and he doesn't fly, he does poorly, that's a really tough situation to put your foot in your mouth. No one did. And now, Utah fans are saying, this has 123,000 views. Kid is soft. I don't care if he's successful. His stay will be negative. Maybe his stay was negative. Ute Jed, Isaac Wilson leaving is good for Utah. No one understands how bad Wilson was. The team started going to the coaches asking for Brandon Rose to start. I was asking for Brandon Rose to start. This kid is 18. Like the over and over, all the way, I mean, all the way down Twitter. People are just like, all right, see ya. And they know why. I know why. This is the rhetoric. He's going to BYU. This is what is going to be so, if this is what happens, now that he's gotten punched in the mouth, you know what's going to happen? He's going to walk in and day one, A-Rod, Kalani Sitake, the entire roster, they're going to give him a big fat hug. And they're going to say, Isaac, welcome home, buddy. The place where your brother played. We're so sorry those Utes treated you so unfairly, so poorly. Come play quarterback and win for us. You have begun. Have you not watched Star Wars? Do you not know how Darth Vader became a thing? This is basically like Anakin Skywalker on the volcano planet, mangled and marred. That's how I view Isaac Wilson at this point, gasping for air. And now BYU has collected him, put him back together, and you just created a damn Darth Vader in the Big 12. Thanks, Utah. This is a conversation piece with Mike McDaniel at Miami in the NFL, where they talk about how Tua Tagovailoa had no confidence. Then Mike was like, hey, buddy, you're good. Chill. I'm confident. Go out there and do your thing. The second he had a coach that believed in him, and I'm not sure Utah didn't believe him. I may have believed in him a little bit too much. The second you have a coach, gives you that big hug and says, we're going to fix it. We're going to make everything okay. You've created a monster. And I don't think he's going anywhere but BYU. The legacy aspect, the star aspect, walks on campus day one, and everybody knows this is the kid. I just don't. Isaac Wilson, Brandon Rose, Luke Patari, Sam Heward, that is just a revolving door of quarterbacks that are exiting from Utah, and Cam Rising might return. It's a tough spot to be in, especially knowing that Isaac Wilson is going to go to BYU. I'm glad Whittingham stayed, but that doesn't mean that there aren't downsides to everything happening with Utah football right now that he's going to have to fix. Do I trust him to fix it? I actually do. I genuinely do. But this is step one, finding a quarterback. And step 2 is destroying Darth Vader before we have to go through 6 dang movies and then 40 after that when they sell the rights to Disney over this kid. BYU is going to use the heck out of him. I can guarantee you that. And I don't see him going anywhere else. This is BYU's kid, and it might have just awoken an absolute monster. Thanks, Utah. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is where I go when I think, you know what, the Chiefs only win games by like 3 points every single week. So the Chargers are, +6. Yeah, I mean, the Chiefs just do that. They win by a touchdown or less. I'm going to go +6 for the Chargers. King, cash it. FanDuel will do that for you. $5 bet right now at FanDuel, and you will get $150 in bonus bets if that bet hits. That's 100% true. $150 in bonus bets at FanDuel if your $5 bet hits. Visit FanDuel today, America's #1 sportsbook, and you can live bet on sports too. Favorite part. I love like hedging and stuff and live and boop, boop, money line. FanDuel.com, America's #1 sportsbook, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, Isaac Wilson. Wonder what a Wilson and Blue is going to look like, huh? This has been and always will be Locked On. Thanks for making it your first listen every single day. Dose Grande.